Are you tired of self-doubt holding you back? Have you ever wished you could have the confidence to face your fears, go after your wildest dreams, and the tools necessary to live your best life? Hey there, amazing listeners. I'm your host and author of How to Grasp Confidence and Own Your Power. And I've made it my mission to help you break free from self-doubt and embrace confidence. Subscribe now and join us as we unlock the secrets to unshakable self-assurance. Let's dive in. Are you ready to unlock the secret to positivity, purpose, and extraordinary leadership? In this transformative episode of Grasp Confidence Podcast, we sit down with Kevin Monroe, widely known as the world's gratitude coach. Ooh, love that. He is a celebrated purveyor of purpose and positivity. And he's going to show us how gratitude isn't just a fleeting feeling, right? Or an emotion or some buzzword, that it's actually a life-changing habit that fuels confidence and human connection. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Let's roll. Let's roll. You got to set up now, Tara. What a joy to join you, and you who are joining us. Thank you for tuning in to this conversation, and it's going to be amazing.
It is. I'm a big gratitude lover myself,
I
and
know that.
my grasp method, the first letter G, it's gratitude. I want to tell you why before we get rolling, because I do get asked this a lot. Why gratitude? Why gratitude? Why is gratitude the first step in your method to develop confidence? And I say it's really, really simple. Gratitude is the law of increase. If you can understand gratitude, if you can develop a relationship with gratitude, if you can incorporate this into your life, it will increase you, not just your confidence, but
Right.
increase all areas of success in your life. And I really do believe that, the gratitude, and there's science behind this, Kevin, you know that, it rewires our brains. Without that essential rewiring that's going on through gratitude, it's really hard for you to go to that next level, next stage.
Mm.
That's the foundation. Don't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely agree. The first time we put up a website around gratitude, and we're now on version 3 or 4 of that website. But the first time I was working with the designer Susie, and she came back, and right there on the homepage was these words: gratitude changes everything. I'm like, oh, Susie, that seems like a bold claim, doesn't it? She goes, well, I heard you say it, And I was like, well, okay, let's run with it. And you've attended some of our gratitude encounters. So I've often in a gratitude encounter, I will ask the question, how do you respond to this belief that gratitude changes everything? Are you skeptical about it? Do you hope it's true? Does it sound too good to be true? You believe it's true, or you've experienced it as true? Right? But gratitude, it's something, it's mind blowing that something as simple as gratitude can actually, what you said, shift and take you to the next level. And why is that? Why does it change everything? Because it changes how you and I first see the world around us, and then how we interact with the world around us, and how we respond to the events of the world, right? Anais Nin said, we don't see the world as it is, we see it as we are. Right? So we all have whether we know it or not, we have these filters, we have experiences of life, right? That cast a hue on how we see and interpret all the events of our life. And gratitude is that power lever for orchestrating a shift.
Ooh, I like that. So you hinted on something I hear a lot, It's common to hear a lot of information out there about manifestation, abundance, right? Because people are searching for
Mhm.
these things, and that makes sense. But what you said is really powerful. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. Now, if you're thinking negativity all the time,
Mm,
yeah, right? Like so many of us are, we're stuck in a cycle and it's almost like a record player. I talk about that a lot. What if
mm, mm.
what if you could change those negative thoughts that feel like they're on a record player to positive ones? Would you not see the outer world differently? And I think you're
Yeah,
right about that.
yeah. Oh, wow, Tara, okay. You just threw me about 3 different threads or more to I'm trying
Let's go. Let's go.
which one do you wanna pick? Um, Absolutely. So, depending on which study you read, but you and I and everyone watching, listening to this, we have about 70,000 plus thoughts
Wow.
into our mind in a day's time, right? I mean, there's so many now. I mean, we're all exposed to so much more media, right? And so media is always pushing a message coming at you from your phone everywhere you go. I remember the first time I was on a trip to New York, and this is, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. And I get into the elevator and looking for a little reprieve, and there's a TV screen blaring commercials in the elevator. I get in the back of the taxi cab, and there's a TV screen right in front of it, blaring messages at the taxi cab. You pull up to the gas pump, and there's on the gas pump, there's a TV screen blaring, right? I mean, there is no reprieve anywhere you go anymore. There's all of this messaging. And if you look at that messaging, what is the essence of most consumer product messaging? You are deficient without our product, right? There's something missing in your life. You are incomplete. You are not enough. You're not good enough. But if you buy this, something's going to change. So we've got 70,000 of those thoughts that are just attacking us. The majority of those thoughts are negative.
Yeah.
So I'm going to quote Lynn Twist, who wrote The Soul of Money. I did not originally know this came from Lynn Twist, but you used the word abundance. Abundance is one of my favorite words. Now, often I use abundance differently than other people. I am not thinking primarily of a material wealth when I'm thinking abundance, and I know you aren't either. It's part of it, but it's the abundance of our life consists so much more. The abundance of my life consists of things money can't buy and money can't take away when the money's gone, right? The abundance is still there. But Lynn Twist was talking about that so imagine. Well, let me ask it this way. You listening and what Tara just said, how many of the first thoughts of the morning when you wake up, how often is your first thought of the morning a thought of scarcity? For millions of people, the very first thought of the day is what? I didn't get enough sleep.
Ooh. They're sneaky, Kevin. You don't
That's a
even
scarcity
notice
thought, right? That's a
them.
scarcity thought right there.
Oh my god.
And what if the last thought before you lay your head or as you lay your head on the pillow at night is, I didn't get enough done today? Lynn
Mhm.
Twist said you just bookended your day in scarcity. And imagine if that's how you start and end your day, imagine how many more negative thoughts are filling those shelves in between the opening line and the closing line of your day? I invite you to stop and think about that right now. You listening? Gosh, what was the first thought you had this morning? And to Tara's point, um, gratitude is powerful. Gratitude is simple, but don't think it's easy. It's not easy because you and I, we have a negativity bias. It's how we're wired. Those first thoughts of the day, like you said, they're sneaky. You are attacked before you ever even realized it. And if you have a bad habit that a lot of people do, that the very first thing you do is flip over your digital device and look at a message on a screen, that's probably not going to be an encouraging message either, right? You're either like, "Oh my gosh, I'm running late already," right? All of these things. But what if we could this is why I say simple, not easy. What if we could begin to restructure or reprogram our minds to where the first thought of the morning, so 25, 28 years ago, I had a mentor who said, Kevin, before your feet hit the floor when you get out of bed in the morning, think of 3 things to be thankful for or grateful for. What if that's how we start our day?
Yeah.
And then what if, as we're laying our head on the pillow at night, we're thinking, what was the best thing that happened today? And
Wow.
that slowly, I mean, yeah, right. We are slowly taking over that scarcity, and we're creating the abundance loop. So where you want to go from there, Tim?
Oh, I don't, there's so many. Well, first off, like you said, we're kind of more geared toward the scarcity. We're geared toward the fear a little bit. So, what if I want to change this narrative, right? I think a lot of people listening to this are like, okay, that's great. I want to stop being that record player. I want to stop the ruminating thoughts. I want to stop this cycle of depression, this cycle of anxiety. But I am bookended kind of with the scarcity, right? I start off with scarcity, I end with scarcity. What is like one tip you can give somebody that can change their life and get them out of that cycle?
Mm. Okay. I'm pausing on purpose. Well, okay. I'm sorry. There's the answer.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I looked down. The answer
Is pause. You
is
got
pause. To
me.
pause.
You got me.
To
I love
pause.
that.
It-
Pause.
Whenever that starts, right? Whenever pause. Now start your day pausing. But gosh, Tara, there's so many thoughts stirring. Um, for you listening, and we can drop links somewhere in this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, absolutely. And I'll include them.
Yeah.
I'll include them.
Last week, well, you talked about some people. So last week we published a resource that some of you may find helpful, either for yourself or someone else. The difference between genuine gratitude and toxic positivity.
Ooh, Kevin, that is interesting. I like that.
Well, there's a
It's
lot.
such a difference. Such a
Like,
difference.
yeah, there's a significant difference. So here's what. When you ask that question, that's what prompted that thought. It's like, oh, but then I thought about pausing, right? So the very first thing we do is we pause. And the way we teach gratitude, it is, again, so simple. I've found myself, I think I've answered this question to dozens or hundreds of people in about 2 years' time. One day I'm on a podcast and I'm asked the question. I'm like, oh, I always answer that question the same way. Why don't we do something around that? When people go, well, how can I be more grateful? It's this simple triangle: pause, notice, express. Pause, notice, express. If you want to grow more gratitude, now go back. You notice how tactile I am? I mean, they're visual reminders.
I
These are
like
things
it.
I pick up and I hold. They're things that are laying around the office. So what are we talking about? You plant cues. Plant cues for yourself. My friend Christy, she bought a set of 3 colored silicone bracelets. And when they start on the left wrist in the morning, and when she pauses to be grateful, she'll take one of those bands and move it to the right wrist.
Oh, that's
The
interesting.
goal being, right? 3 bracelets start on my left arm. At the end of the day, they end on my right arm. What have I done? I've orchestrated or engineered into my life at least 3 pauses. We created gratitude lock screens for your phone. So what are we talking about, Tara? We're talking about ways that you can engineer more gratitude into your life. I'll pick up my phone now. It won't show well here because it just doesn't, right, on screens usually. But when I pick up my phone, there is a lock screen. And the lock screen, I'll tell you what it says. At the bottom, it says I should be on a call with Tara LaFongoot right now. Fortunately, I am. So I can, but it says it's my favorite gratitude quotation. No amount of regret changes the past. No amount of anxiety changes the future. Any amount of gratitude changes the present. And that comes from Ann Voskamp. And every time I pick up my phone, that is there. But not every time I pick up my phone does it cause me to pause, right? Because we're busy people, stuff's going on. But what if just seeing that 5, 7, 10 times a day prompts me to pause? And Tara, when we're talking about pausing, this pause can be for a nanosecond. We're not saying, oh, pause, go out by the brook, sit barefoot in the stream, and
That sounds nice, though.
10 minutes. Well, if you could, that'd be great. But we don't all live on Walden's Pond like Henry David Thoreau did, right? So what can you do in real time? You can pause, just these brief seconds of a pause. Well, what do? Then you notice.
Yes.
Notice what, Kevin? Notice whatever there is to notice.
Yeah.
If you've not seen Brother David's Grateful Day video, it's a 5.5-minute video that's on YouTube. I'll get you the link to that. It's something I watch every week at sometimes several times a week. But in it, Brother David says, just stop, look up at the sky. And so there are a bunch of us that will just text a photo of the sky and send it to others in our group and say, hey, have you looked at the sky today? Right? How long does it take you to? I can't even begin to tell you how many photos of sky shots I have. That's a pause. You just stop and you look up. You go, oh, wow, look at that. Beautiful sky. Somebody, a friend of mine is in Costa Rica right now. She sent me a message yesterday. Said, look at this beautiful sunset. And we got into a chat. And I'm like, the sunset, it's beautiful every day somewhere. And how many people miss it? Because they're just too stinking busy. They're too preoccupied with something else. So pause.
I love that.
Notice
Really,
there it is.
yeah, that pausing really anchors you to the present moment. And we know that the power is in the present. But yet it seems so elusive for so many of us, even though we're living it, which is incredible. And it really can be as simple as pausing. And it's a moment of thankful acknowledgement.
Okay, so let's interrupt this right now. Let's pause. Here's one of my favorites. Pause. Okay, Tara, let's do the last hour challenge. Look back just at the last 60 minutes of your day. What pops to your mind to be grateful that's just happened in the last hour?
Well, I cleaned my house a little bit, which I'm grateful for because that means I have a home.
Okay, all right, now there's another thread. Anytime you find something to be grateful for, you can usually pull on that a little more, and it's connected to something else and connected to something else, connected to something else. Okay, so when I said, wow, I have friends around the world that stop, look up, take a picture of the sky and send it. Well, there's just so many pieces of that. Oh, we have eyes, we have sight, we have the gift of sight. Not everybody in the world has the gift of sight. If you can see the sky, you have the gift of sight. Oh, I can be grateful for that. I can go outside. Not everybody in the world can go outside. It's not safe for some people to go outside. Some people are imprisoned. And I don't just mean by incarceration. There are people that are imprisoned in other ways. Oh, gosh, we have freedom. There's no war going on where we live. Oh my gosh, there's that. And then, did I say take a picture? Well, that means you have a phone. Oh, you had a phone. And you sent it to someone. So you're connected to the internet. Right? You can take one thing and it leads to this and it leads to this and it leads to this and it leads to this. And you said, oh, I didn't have anything to be grateful for.
There's always something to be grateful for, right?
Just stop, notice the thread and pull it, follow it. Where does it go? Where does it go? And suddenly you go, oh gosh, I thought I was having a bad day. But look at all of this. Look at all of this abundance. Arnold, let me think of his last name. It's not coming to me in the moment. Said, abundance is the natural state. We introduce scarcity. Arnold Patton said that. Abundance is the natural state. So we're trying to get to abundance. Abundance already exists. Just receive it.
Ooh, and this is part of my TEDx talk that said, so my TEDx talk was gratitude, the foundation of confidence, right? um, through
Congratulations,
gratitude.
by the way.
Oh, thank you. Through having the confidence, we can have success, right? Confidence equals success, because if we're confident, generally speaking, we're going to go after bigger goals, we're going to go after bigger dreams. But gratitude, I said in my talk, helps you keep it.
Yeah.
And what I mean by
Uh,
that, because I do get asked that question a lot, what do you mean gratitude makes you keep it? Well, I'm sure we've all met somebody or heard of somebody that got, a windfall of some kind and squandered it. There's a anchor there. It's not just for personal development. I think this is, we're talking about abundance too. I think gratitude is the gateway to sustainable long-term success and wealth.
So that's one of the sayings that popped out of a conversation for me early in this journey. Gratitude's the gateway to abundance, is what I say. Right? It's the gateway to abundance. Oh gosh, there's so many places so many directions we could go right now. I'm just
I know. This could be a
walking around.
20-hour podcast, like all-day marathon.
Yeah. Okay, so this is one. Um, so this week, and we don't release resources every week. I don't know, just the beginning of the year, we created some stuff. We released a new resource this week that's Gratitude in Action, Bridging the Emotional Intelligence Gap.
Ooh, I love that.
And you said something, and you're talking about confidence, so I want to connect these two.
Sure.
And this, I can tell you the story. I was 2.5 years ago, I was contacted by a friend of mine. I've had the privilege to do work with him at Amazon Web Services. And he said, Kevin, we have our people have the highest IQs in the world in their field, not so much the EQ. I want you to help us with EQ. And I believe gratitude can effectively increase EQ. And I'm like, what? I believe that too. I hadn't really thought that much about it, right? Yeah, we can apply so many things to so many other fields when we get the invitation. So I started thinking, and I developed this presentation, Tara, and I'd already developed a deck. I was ready to go. And then I'm mowing the yard one morning early in the summer. And I can go to the spot in the backyard, almost the exact spot where this epiphany hit. It's like, wow. And I just turned a corner, and all of a sudden, those words from Viktor Frankl came to mind. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our right to choose our response. And in our response lies our freedom and our growth. And I thought, oh my gosh. Pause. Okay, if we want to connect this to confidence, if we want to connect this to showing up, how you show up, something happens. That's what Viktor Frankl talks about, is the stimulus, right? Something happens, an external event. Somebody says something, somebody does something, stimulus. Most of us have a preconditioned, automatic, natural response. You do this, I do this, right? I mean, you raise your voice, I raise my voice. You cut me off in traffic, I wave to you, but not with all of my fingers. Whatever those things are that people do, they're automated responses. If you want to be more emotionally intelligent, the first level is recognizing what Viktor Frankl said. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. That's the entry level, just knowing it exists. What if we insert in that space a pause? Somebody does something, whatever it is they do, rather than automatically reacting, you pause. And even if that pause is only for a millisecond, right? But you just pause. Now, in real life conversation, sometimes it is just milliseconds, right? Your child says something, your partner says something, a client says something, the clerk at the store says something, whatever that, and it's happening in real time. So those pauses are fast. But what if it's an email you receive? And sometimes that response is, oh, let me just fire off a response right now. No, what if you pause? Pause for 30 seconds, pause for a minute with an email, or in conversation, even pause. Hey, guys, let me think about that a moment. So you pause. Now, so you've expanded the space between stimulus and response by the very act of pausing, right? In that, when you pause, you find more options of how to respond. Oh, gosh. And what if you fill that space with two things? The first is positive intent. You assume that this person, they didn't mean that as angrily as you might have heard it and interpreted and internalized it. And if you start noticing, pause, notice, express, you start noticing the good qualities and characteristics of this person on your team or in your life or in your family. And what if you go a little step further, whether you express it verbally to them or whether you just think about it a moment and go, gosh, but Tara's always a joy. And now I've not only paused to expand that space between stimulus and response, I filled it with gratitude.
Mm.
I have built a bridge between stimulus and response, and my response will be infinitely more better and something I'll be happier with if I do that, rather than just flying off the handle.
It really does improve leadership. It improves communication. It improves morale for your team. One of the things I always say is start every conversation or meeting with an expression of thankful acknowledgement. And if you do that, it gets that other person who is on the other end of that to actually be receptive of your message. If you start and say things that are negative, things that are scarce, things that are wrong. You didn't do XYZ, right? Or this didn't happen or that person is going to go into that immediate fight, flight, or freeze mode.
Absolutely.
They're going to negate everything you said and they're going to take it personally, right? Whereas if you start a conversation with a thankful acknowledgement towards that other person or in a meeting setting, right? A thankful acknowledgement, something happened like a win. I like sharing wins,
Absolutely. What's
right?
the best thing that happened for our team since we were together last?
Yes, yes. And everybody has a chance to talk and they feel included. 180-degree difference. All of that was free.
High five, high five. Yeah.
All of that advice was free. And you know what? It'll completely change. I've seen organizations increase their productivity, but not only that, their customers feel it. You know why? Because a grateful employee, grateful leadership encourages that to not only stay within the team, within the house, within the silo, but it radiates outward and it really can change your whole industry positioning.
Okay, so two things. Gosh, there are six more we could unpack there, but two I want to unpack. The very last thing you said, let's flip that and go. You walk into a business and you're greeted by a irate employee, by a disgruntled employee, by a I wish I was anywhere other than here today right now employee. As the customer, what do you feel? You feel it. You feel it, right? I mean, I do work around culture, and I have a lot of friends who are culture consultants, and we just kind of laugh. How long does it take you to get the feel of a culture in a company you walk in for the first time? 10 seconds.
Yes, it's
I mean,
instant.
you walk in the door, and,
Yeah.
and what you feel
Yeah.
isn't that it doesn't just happen. And you know whether they're grateful leaders who are appreciating people and people are showing up with a full cup overflowing with joy and happiness and kindness, ready to greet the people coming into that business, whether they're patients, guests, customers, right? So we work in the hospitality space, we work in the healthcare space, so they may be a patient experience they're talking about. It may be the guest experience they're focused on. It may be the customer experience, or the employee experience. They're all connected. And employees can't give what they don't have. And if you want your customers to have a good feeling, well, that all starts with your employees feeling seen, heard, valued, and appreciated. Everybody on the planet wants to feel seen, heard, valued, and appreciated. The best person to do that is their immediate supervisor or manager. And they're only going to do it if their supervisor or manager has given it to them. And there, right? So it is a cascading effect or it's a trickle down, whichever way you want to think of it. So I can tell in a moment the culture of a company. Now, the other thing, I want to go back to the meeting thing. So, wow. The questions we ask determine the answers we're going to find. Neuroscience proves that to us over and again. So, if you are a team leader and you have a problem you need to solve, the best way to solve that is to not start with that in your meeting. But how do most meetings in America at least start? It starts with somebody with a bit of a, they may be even in a tirade over, I can't believe this happened, and they're throwing papers down and, maybe I'm the only one that's ever been in a meeting where the boss shouted. I don't know, Tara.
I certainly have. You're preaching to the choir too many times. I have PTSD from it. I know.
So when you start the way you were talking about starting, you have activated the synapses in the brain of creativity and possibility. And by just simple questions like, hey, what do we have to celebrate? Or, hey, who on the team helped you out that nobody else on the team knows about? You want to celebrate them in front of the team here, right? That kind of thing. And you're getting to praise a peer and all of that. Building. Synapses are firing. You go, now, we got this challenge. You're not going to call it a problem. You're going to call it a challenge. Anybody got ideas? Can we devote our best thinking towards solving this problem? Well, you just teed up that meeting to have the best thinking flowing by the way you started the meeting versus what you said earlier, just shutting everybody down from the moment and they're being so. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, the psychiatrist, said there are only two emotions. Now, you and I know somebody else wrote this years before Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, a guy named John, said there are two primary emotions, fear and love. Workplaces of the world, they're either characterized by fear or they're characterized by love. When they're characterized by fear, people are shut down. People are, careful. When they're characterized by love, man, you feel it when you walk in.
Absolutely. Well, you're teeing up my next book very well. It's called How to Grasp Confidence in Leadership. I love it, right?
Like a bonus. I didn't know I was doing that for you.
Exactly. I love that. It's so powerful, so important. So one of the things that I felt like I really learned today from this conversation was, we have a decision. And that decision comes in the moment before a reaction. And you pause, you insert a pause there. But I want to go back to your triangle because pause was an aspect of your triangle, but I don't want to not mention the notice and the express.
Yeah.
So could you touch on that a little bit as well?
Yeah. Let's go back. So pause is where it all starts, right? And when you pause and then notice what? Notice anything. And I invite people, make noticing a full sensory experience. What you see, hear, taste, touch, smell, right? There are times there's some guys working in the basement of our house right now. They're cutting something. All of a sudden, I'm smelling something right now, Tara, in this moment that's reminding me of high school shop class. And in that moment, wow, I'm grateful for Mr. Bill Loudermilk. That was my shop teacher. He passed away a couple of years ago. But there's just, look at that thread. I smelled something. That smell transported me to a place. That place reminded me of a person. So notice whatever there is. Notice what you see outside. So I want to go back. You asked earlier, if you're really in a bad place and if life is really bad right now, which I know it is for some of you. I know it is. I can identify. Well, I know Tara well enough to know that Tara and I both identify with pain. We both identify with disappointment, despair, discouragement, all of the deadly D's. We know them well. Right, sister?
Yep, that's right.
So maybe you don't think there's anything in your surrounding world that you can be grateful for. Look up, go out, look at the sky. There's something in nature that is unchanged and unchanging that you can see. So when it's really tough for people, I tell them to get outside themselves. Don't think about your circumstances, your situation, your family, the family member that's driving you crazy, whatever that. Just go to nature, right? The sun, the sky, the clouds, the trees, the flowers, the birds, and start there because they are always there. I remember, gosh, it's almost 5 years ago now that the pandemic started. I remember in the first month of the pandemic, I was on Zoom calls with people around the world, and I noticed something in that very first week. Even I was on a call with a friend from the UK. I was on a call with a friend from Slovakia. I was on a Zoom call with a friend from Israel, different parts of the United States, and in every one of those, I heard birds singing because they happened to be outside. And we just started talking. Oh, the birds didn't get the memo. The birds didn't stop singing.
That's right.
Right? So go to something that's bigger than you, beyond you, eternal, find or long-standing, right? Find something to be grateful for that is in nature, that is in your faith, that is in ancient literature, that is in wisdom that's passed down from generation to generation, right? That has nothing to do with what's going on in your life right now.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And it wasn't until I hit my deepest, darkest moments of depression that I really started to understand gratitude. And people say, how's that possible? Right. And it's, when you look up at the night sky, we're talking about looking up. When you look up at the night sky, the interesting thing is you wouldn't appreciate those stars if there was no darkness.
Tara,
You
you
would
know,
not. You would not, would you?
no, you know this because we've shared the stories. I also found gratitude in a dark time in life. It's amazing how many people find gratitude not when everything is rosy in life, but when life is really hard. So if life's really hard for you right now, first off, I just want you to know this: you're listening to, watching to two people who identify with it, who have care and compassion for you in your situation, and who found gratitude in those tough times, and gratitude helped us get to a better place. And that's our hope for you.
Absolutely. Well, that is so profound. And, again, it wasn't until that dark time when I realized I could develop a relationship with gratitude, that it wasn't just a check the box kind of go through the motions kind of deal, that it was actually something that you develop a relationship with. And when that clicked,
Yeah.
I realized it was actually a direct connection to the creator.
Yeah. Hey, do we have 3 minutes on this podcast, or where are
Let's
we at on time?
go. Let's go.
Okay. So let me walk you through something. And Tara, it was about 4 years ago that I started developing these thoughts. And I've seen it both horizontally, and then we've put it vertically now. Is that right? Yeah. But a continuum of gratitude. So many people, when we first, and I'll send you a diagram that we can put into the notes here. When we first discover gratitude, it's that purely obligation. Somebody says you should be grateful, right? Pointing the finger. Maybe as a mom, maybe as a teacher, some, remember your gratitude.
Yeah.
And you and so it starts as obligation. Well, the next layer up is hack. And millions of people on the planet embrace gratitude as a hack, a life hack. Having a bad day, find something to be grateful for. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not criticizing it. I still, when I'm having a bad day, I use gratitude as a hack. I lean on it as a hack. But the whole point is that's not the end of the gratitude story, right? If gratitude is just something you do in the morning, check the box off, oh, I'm done with gratitude. Well, what if you keep going on this gratitude journey? The next layer up is that it becomes habit.
Yeah.
And then, I'm sorry, the next layer up is practice. Let me get practice. You start, you're saying, hey, this gratitude stuff's really working for me. I want to stick with it. And then it becomes habit.
Yes.
Now, once in habit, you've got rhythms and routines, and it's just coming more easily. You're more likely to keep your gratitude journaling than stop. Well, what if you go a little further on this journey? The next layer is it becomes a lifestyle.
Ooh.
I mean, I'm sorry. Mindset, and then lifestyle. Let me, because I'm not looking at I'm looking at you. I'm not looking at the chart. So it's obligation, hack, practice, habit, mindset, lifestyle.
Ooh.
And so mindset is where gratitude just becomes the way we think about everything. And when something comes into our life, we run it through the filter of what is there in this to be grateful for? What can I find even in this hard stuff? There's something here. You've heard the story. The kid that got went out at Christmas, and um, there was a big pile of hay and horse manure, and says, well, gosh, with all of this horse manure, there's got to be a horse in here somewhere, right? I mean, that's that kind of thing. You're looking at, there's got to be something good here. I don't see it immediately, but something good will come out of this. So if it's obligation now, keep going, right? If you're in a hack stage, keep going. Let it become a practice. Develop the practice. Let it become habit in your life. Then let it become your mindset to where that's how you're thinking every day. And then when it becomes lifestyle, you're just a joyful person. And people think of you as, wow, that Tara, she is one grateful gal.
It's and you know what? When it becomes that lifestyle change, like you're talking about, I call it my ninja mindset moves.
Yeah.
So regardless of what happens to me, and it's not to say negative things won't happen to you, it's how you look at them. I can pretty much like instantly reframe something into a positive very, very easily. Where now that was not overnight, that took years of habit, and then becoming that, mindset shift, and then eventually a lifestyle, but so worth it. Kevin, wow, what a wonderful interview today. I knew this was going to be fire, even better than I imagined. So grateful for you for coming on the show.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. And everybody's going to want to know where to find you. What are the best places? So let us know. What are the best places to find you, Kevin?
Um, two primary website, KevinDMonroe.com. The middle initial D is important there, KevinDMonroe.com. And then LinkedIn, Kevin Monroe. There was no D required for Kevin Monroe for LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, Kevin Monroe. Let me know. Let me know that you watch this podcast or you're a friend of Tara's, whatever that is. That's always a fun way to connect. And we've got some resources for you. If you're just getting started on this journey, go to letsgrowgratitude.com and take our free 5-day beginner's guide to gratitude to help get you started on this quest. And there are a couple of other resources we mentioned here, right? The genuine gratitude versus toxic positivity. And that may be something that not only for you, but you have some people that people have said to you when you're expressing, oh, you're just being, you've fallen into that toxic positivity stuff. Well, this is a resource that would help you explain the difference, right?
Yep.
And then if you're a leader and you want this into your company, let's grow emotional intelligence in your leaders. So Tara, I'm going to pause and say how grateful I am for you and for this invitation today. Thank you. And thank you who are watching us now, listening now. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for sticking to the end of this conversation.
I love that. Guys, thank you so much for being a part of this amazing podcast. We are a top global podcast because of you. So don't forget to tune in, hit share, subscribe, leave a review. I read each one personally, and I'm grateful for every single one. We will catch you guys on the next episode. Take care. And that's a wrap for this episode of Grasp Confidence. Thank you for joining me today and investing in yourself. Remember, building confidence is an ongoing journey, and each step you take brings you closer to the empowered, fearless version of yourself that you were born to be. Don't forget to visit my website, follow me on social media, and purchase my book, which is available on Amazon. Thank you for listening. We will see you on the next episode. Stay confident.